Nina Lundgren received the best Christmas present ever when she was 6 years old, her first pony. That pony was the start of a lifelong passion that constantly grew.
When I was probably 10, 11 years old, my parents bought me a great horse that had been through the rodeo deal, and I was able to go out and spend time at a ranch with some people, some ranchers, and in the evening we'd go out and we'd practice cutting out in the old corral. And then the junior rodeos came, and we went to the junior rodeos, and they'd have cutting on the track. And, the ground was hard and everything, but we cut. And so that's where it started.
Her family eventually moved from Oregon to California, where Nina enrolled in college.
Then when I was college age, I went to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and I always took a colt with me. And so then I was always in colt training and doing that sort of thing. Then later on, I just always had horses. I wasn't necessarily cutting. When I was in my 20s, I moved back to my grandmother's ranch in Palo Butte, Oregon, and then I started cutting again with the Central Oregon Club there.
Nina wouldn't let anything stand in her way when it came to cutting. So when cattle were needed for the practices, she'd bring them right along with her horses.
We'd had practices down in Madras, Oregon, and so I had an old 2-ton truck, and I'd load up the cows and my 2 horses in this 2-ton truck and drive to Madras, unload the cows. We'd all practice, throw the horses and the hot horses and the cows in the truck and drive back home. So.
Nina eventually married Bob, who was a cattle raiser. She became more involved with cattle and was on the board of directors for the American Simmental Association and was the chairman of the American Simbra Association Committee. But one day, after talking to his friend Harlan Radomski, Bob came home with some news.
And eventually Bob came home and he says, well, I think I want to buy a cutting horse. I thought, oh, sure, you won't like this, but we'll try. So we bought him a cutting horse. So then they said, well, gee, your wife needs to have one too. So we came down here and I bought one, and it just started. And we just started doing non-pro stuff, and it just continued. And we've just totally, pretty quick, your whole life is cutting. You've cut out all the other things in your life. Everything you do revolves around cutting. So we did that for many years.
Nina spent many years as a non-pro, but eventually turned in her card and became a professional trainer. But for Nina, that decision wasn't all about training outside horses. It was about helping other riders who were interested in the sport.
I love teaching cutting because it's so rewarding to see the people change. And they start out, they can't ride a bit. And suddenly they can go out there and they can cut and they can get through a run, and the excitement on their faces and their families' faces is just fabulous. And they're so proud of themselves and so proud of their accomplishments, and they love their horses so much. It's really fun, to see that growth, that progress.
Her excitement for teaching soon led to an idea that she continues to promote: themed cutting clinics.
When I started training, I had several clients that had little or no experience cutting, and some had friends that wanted to cut, and so I tried to create programs where they could bring them in a friendly atmosphere and learn.
And at the suggestion of having a clinic just for women, Nina created the Wild Women of the West weekend.
That was one of the first ones that I developed, was the Wild Women of the West weekend, and then we went on and every time I feel a need to have some kind of a gathering, we put a clever name on it and then try to develop a theme around that.
Other specialty clinics, such as the Cutting Campout, were a big success. But an idea for an introductory class at one of their shows has been the best yet for introducing new people to cutting.
I just felt there was a need for people that wanted to cut, but that had never been on a cutting horse. And several of the associations had never won a buckle classes, which is fine for somebody that has been showing and has never won a buckle. But I wanted it for people that had no experience, period. And so I'd gather some brood mares out of the pasture, maybe that we'd wean their colts off of, or a dry brood mare or something like that. So they're good cutters, and bring them in and leg them up for 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. And then had people sign up, and it is a tremendous hit. And people come, and several of them have gone on to buy horses, trailers, saddles, the whole bit. But after they've had this experience, and it's a huge hit with the fans. Everybody comes to watch this Climb Aboard a Cutter contest. And it's so much fun.
Nina has served as the president of the Northwest Cutting Horse Association, currently serves on the Cascade Cow Cutters Board, and organizes 8 to 10 NCHA shows a year at her home, Benina Ranch in South Central Washington State, every year. She also helped create and manage the Cascade Cow Cutters Stallion Auction, which has been a huge asset to the association.
A great success. And so everybody was able to run for a saddle that year. And that club is just booming today. Just booming. And I mean, last year we had 8 people in the club qualify for the world, for the top 15 in the world, and they came down here.
Along with her work to attract and nurture new members, Nina holds a yearly clinic where she brings in established trainers from Texas and California that many of the people in the Northwest wouldn't normally have access to. Her dedication to cutting is exactly what our sport needs.
Oh, supporting cutting, I think it's the only way to keep it alive and make it grow. And it's so important for all of us to, once people start, they'll usually stay with it if they can afford to, and if their life allows them to. But they have to be exposed to it, and they have to know how fun it is. They can't just, it can't be casual. They need to be actively involved, at least one of their members, and then they get the husband, or they get the daughter, or they get some other family member, and then this horse gets passed on to another one. They need a new horse, and so these things grow, and then those people might go to other trainers. That keeps those trainers alive. That keeps them in business, and so it's really important for everybody to do well at this.
It is easy to see why Nina is being inducted into the NCHA Members Hall of Fame. She put the promotion of our sport and education of new members at the very top of her priority list. She's a shining example of an ambassador any association would be proud to have.
And I think that people need to use what they have. We all have tools. We just need to use them and have the confidence that other people will enjoy them. We need to bring people in other parts of the world, teach them how to create events that people don't need. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be fun and enjoyable, and an opportunity to work their horses, to learn something. But it can be done everywhere. We all have some of these tools. We just need to use them and look for them and create them and find opportunities and places where you can do things. I think it's really important.